Hello everybody, and welcome to the aga-cad webinar, the faster way to modify Revit families and projects. And today I'll be your host. My name is Alexandra Szczerza, shortly Alex. I'm 31 years old and I'm a BIM application engineer here in aga-cad. Originally, I'm an HVAC engineer and I work with a system design and installation since 2014. All the gained knowledge gave me an advantage in understanding our clients' needs. I've joined an aga-cad 3 years ago, and now I'm responsible for the MEP-related tools, that being CAD opening, MEP hangers, and our most general tool, Smart Browser. Together with the product development, my job is to define workflows with our solutions to solve the needs of our customers so that they can achieve their desired results. And that is my job. If you'll have any questions regarding our tools directly to me, you can email via this email, alexandras@aga-cad.com. And as a company, we create applications for Autodesk Revit based on the needs of the world's leading BIM practitioners. And all our tools are designed in such a way that they will eliminate the non-value creating tasks for our users. And we have a very wide range of solutions. That would be metal framing, wood framing, precast concrete design together with reinforcement tools, and some MEP-related tools for which I'm responsible, CAD opening, MEP hangers, Excel to Revit. We have two new tools that were added last year to our fleet. That is Smart Views and Panel Packer. I highly recommend to take a look at the Smart Views if you'll have a chance. And today we'll be talking specifically about the Smart Browser. This is the tool for library creation and the element management inside the library. That can be used for a single user and for the company. And in this webinar, we'll be covering specifically the modification part of the elements, and I'll show the new fast way of modification of multiple families in library, and then the same thing, modification of families already placed in the project through the Excel. And I'll speak about some of the other updates of our tool. And to keep this short, let's jump to the model. I have it open. For today's webinar, I've chose generic Revit model that has quite a lot of elements and will have something to play with. And to begin with, all our tools can be installed through the Tools for BIM dock. You can download it through our webpage, aga-cad.com. Once you download it, you'll have this button of Show Dock. You'll have a Smart Browser free version pre-installed with the dock, so you can start checking it out at once. And when you click on the dock, it will open on your screen. Here you will see all of our tools. You can take trials of 14 days for these tools, and Smart Browser will be this yellow one. Smart Browser has three main modules designed for company. That would be BIM Manager, Team Leader, Team Member. I will shortly speak about the differences between those after I finish my presentation. And once you have this dock, you can click on the tool, and there you will be prompted to enter your information, such as name and email, and we will send you the trial code. Once the tool is installed, you can use it through our dock or place it in the toolbar, and here's how the Smart Browser looks like now. If you have seen it before, you will notice that we've made some updates to the user interface. Now it's more compact and has new icons. So to start using Smart Browser, you just need to click on this main button, Smart Family Browser, and it will open any library that you have already created. So this is the main window of the Smart Browser, and in this tool, once library is created, it will be shown here on the top. You can have as many libraries as you want. After the elements are loaded, what you can do with this tool is, for example, check parameters of the families before loading them into the project. So you click on this button and you'll have a full list of all the parameters of the family, and you will know exactly what you're loading into your project. Same thing with the types. If you have multiple types, you will be able to load only specific type into the project, so that would work in some way as type catalog for the families. You can click on this button to do that. Let me choose one of the families that has multiple types. For example, this window. I can click on this button And there will be a list of all the types from the family, and you can choose which ones would you want to load into the project. So easy way to work with that. Another thing with the families, once they're placed in the library, you can sort them as you want. They will be presented exactly as you need that. So that can be done through the organization of the library window. And right now my organization is by category and family name. You can choose according to placement in a folder, version of the family, and so on. You can use even user-created parameters to sort the families. After this is set up, there will be this window where you can see all the categories, and when I open the categories, I'll have family name. So you can organize this tree as you want. And after this is done, you just need to click on one category and you'll be shown only that category, or maybe even specific family. And you will notice if you've tried our Smart Browser tool before, now this window of opening the tree doesn't close automatically. When you move mouse out of the border, you just need to click at any random place to close that window. And you can continue working with it if you need to. So let's go back to all the families. And another new introduction to the interface is quick search. Previously, only the search button was available, and you could enter there according to what you would want to search families. And right now, you can search simply entering some value right here. For example, door. All these families have door in their name, type name, or as one of their parameter names. So even the refrigerator, we can check, there will be door with, and that's why this family is shown to us. Let's close this one. From here, you can drag and drop families into the project. Same thing as you would work with regular Windows folders, except more functionality. And to create the library, there is this Options button. So all what you need to do is to fill in all these lines. Here you just need to put where you will store the library file, a separate XML file, enter the name, enter from which folder you would want to load the families. If that folder has subfolders, those families will be loaded as well. After one folder is loaded, you can put another address line here, click Start again, and the second folder will be loaded into the XML of the library. And the third thing is you need to show the location where you would want our tool to save PNG and 3D DVF files of the families. PNGs will be used to represent families in this window. Another button present here is an update. If you click it, it will check whether all the families that are in the browser right now are the same as families in the folders. So when you're working with a tool, if the tool notices any differences, it will show this red dot, and that means that library needs to be updated. So let's run the update, and it will show the report that some family was deleted from the library, and some elements had to be updated. Maybe user has done some modifications by hand to those families, or they were added to the library. We click on Save and Close, and we have an updated version here. And now, let's go into the modifications. I have here some families, let's close parameters, from the project, which I will be updating. And let's choose some also random ones, like kitchen set, TV. Oh, I think actually TV is present in the project. Also, let's do with the window and some specialty equipment. With our tool, you can modify as many families as you need in one go and as many categories as you want. There is no restriction. Everything is on the table. Once you've selected families, you can click on Modify Families and enter modification name. Modification 2022. Save it. You will need to enter the name, who does the modifications, since all this information is saved on your computer and you can access it at any time. And in the notes, right now I will put just webinar. And after we've done some modifications, our tool will write here in the notes what was changed for the families and for which families exactly. I will show you that after the modifications are done. And here's the window for modification. As I mentioned, there can be multiple families. There is a possibility to group them, to configure how you want to see the group. Right now it's done by category, family name, and type. And all the rest of parameters are for the grab. So right now we see some text parameters. But if you would need to see any other parameter, you can click on Select Parameters, and you will be presented with the list of every single parameter from these families. So in this window, it's really easy to check whether the families have some duplicate parameters or some parameters that have similar name, but it's mistyped in one of the families. So for example, here we have in dimensions, height, and also age, which probably also means height. And we don't need to catch it by checking 100 families. We will see just it in this table. So we add them, and we see that indeed for most of the families, the parameter is named height, and for one of the families, for the TV, it's age. To modify it, we simply choose this parameter and click on Rename Parameter. And let's name it height. And these parameters are joined. Very simple modification. Other than that, it's possible to do every single imaginable modification here in this window, starting from the category change, family name change, type change. Let me click here. And here you see that. Modify category, rename family. It's possible to add subcategories to the families, add new types, rename type by rule. That means using, for example, width and height parameter to name a type, adding shared parameters, family parameters, modifying parameters, their group, for example, removing, working with the formulas. And our new addition with the new installation will be rearrange parameters. When clicking this button, our tool will open a short list where you will see all the parameters in the family, how they're placed in the group, and you can rearrange them. Maybe it's not interesting for the furniture. Let's go into the window, rearrange parameters. Oh, here's the list is way bigger. So maybe the parameters are not in the order you want them to be. Now you don't need to open every single family and rearrange those. You can do that right here. So for example, put width, height, after that rough width, height, something with analytical properties. A should, let's say, go first, then C, D, H, S, T, V. Doesn't matter. How you want to arrange them is your choice. After you've done with an arrangement, you can click on Save and Close, and the new column will appear, Rearrange Parameters, which will be yes, no type column. And here, if you decide not to rearrange parameters with this change, with this modification, you simply remove the tick mark, and this rearrangement will not be applied. If you place it back again, parameters will be rearranged once we load these modifications. And once this is done, we can move forward. The next step I will just want to quickly show is possibility to add parameters. And as I remember, and if I remember correctly, that there is new parameter already added to one of the families. It's a white color as an instance parameter. And we'll see that, oh yes, for the freezer, there was already new parameter added. Maybe we want to have the same parameter in all the rest of the families. To do that, we can simply choose the column and click on Add Selected Parameters. What our tool will do, it will create exact copy of the scene parameter right here in all the rest of the families. Additionally, to add just simply a new parameter, you can click on Add Family Parameter. Let's name it Yes. It will be under Identity Data, that's good, and let's put it in as a yes-no type parameter. And let's make it instance as well. And here we have additional yes-no parameter in all of the families. So what we can do later with these changes, of course you can change any parameter value. You can do it here one by one or in mass by clicking on Change Value. But what we'll use today is new functionality, export to Excel and import information back from Excel into this modification file. For that, we have these two buttons, export to Excel and import from Excel. And let's click on export to Excel. I'll export into the today's webinar folder and do export as SB export. Simple name. Once the file is exported, we can open it, and here you will see different columns. So the yellow color represents according to what the parameters were grouped by, and it's impossible to modify these values through the Excel. So if I click on one of the windows and want to type something, Excel will say that this is locked. So basically, all the windows that are not locked can be modified. Additionally, we have instance parameters in white, gray is type parameters, and dark gray you will see here means that parameter is missing. And this color represents that the parameter is determined by formula. So okay, let's do some changes. For example, fast change utilizing Excel's possibility to just automatically write down some values and move it into all the rest of the cells. Manufacturer, aga-cad may be good. Let's put it everywhere. And additionally, if you have any information in your Excel regarding the prices, regarding the codes of the elements, if you're working with element creation, it will be super easy to just export the types and copy paste all the codes, all the height, width, and all the rest size parameters to be automatically pushed into the families, so you will not need to create new types by hand one by one and fill all the information. So for example, even height, which is the type parameter, let's change it for one of the windows. So the freezer, it was 2 meters 10, let's make it 2 meters 2. Let's fill in a new parameter with some value and push it everywhere. Same with an yes, no parameters. Right now it shows false since there's no tick box in Excel. So let's change some of these with true to see what will happen. Let's put true like this. All what is left to do is click on save, go back into the Smart Browser window and click on import from Excel. Let's import back from this file. And it literally takes just a second to load all the information. So here we'll have a new type height, aga-cad as a manufacturer, some cost written, new parameter, yes, no parameter filled, and so on. After this is done, here we just created a task file of what the tool should do with the families. So we need to close it. It will prompt us to save this change file. And here we'll see all the changes that were made, and they will be described as a text. So you can access this file at any time later and check what was changed for the families in your library. Let's save it. And let's push these modifications into the families. Choose this file that was created and run said modifications. So what our tool will do now, it will open families one by one in the background and apply all the described modifications. Let's wait just for a few seconds while it does that. And already the speed of this will depend on how many types the element has. And even then, it's way faster than doing this by hand. After this is done, we'll have a short report of how many families were modified. And here we see it. 10 families were modified. And we can check whether the modifications were applied. So for example, click on a cabinet that was in the modification. We have new parameter with value. Yes parameter, that is false for this case. Then manufacturer as aga-cad, and there should be some cost for this family, Cost will be higher, 15. Let's go a little bit further into the freezer or range gas. Cost is applied. We have manufacturer as aga-cad, and all the information is pushed into the families. So that was easy, wasn't it? In the next step, after the modifications are applied to the families, quite often it's needed to know whether in the project you're working at right now, do you have the latest versions of the families? We've got you covered in this place as well. For that, we have update families and projects. So by clicking this button, what our tool will do, you can choose library, which you want to compare with the current project, choose whether you want to check instance parameters or not, and click on Start Checking. After you've clicked it, our tool will analyze all the project, and it will see what is missing. So for example, for a lot of elements that are in the project, we've added some new parameter, yes parameter. So we can see that here. For some of the elements in the project, the types that are in the family browser were missing. So that's why it shows family here in white, simply because this type was not even loaded into the project. Manufacturer, cost, and even for this family, this is our TV screen, the age was renamed into the height. That's why it shows in green. So all what you need to do is click on Reload Families and choose whether you want to reload parameter values or just want to create new parameters that were missing in the families and the libraries. So let's click on Override Parameters as well and click on Reload. Our tool will go through all those families, load all the changes, and we'll have those in our project. And now it showed 8 out of 10. Let's see what was missing. Click on Start Checking, and we see the results that there should be both of our windows. It sees some changes for analytical properties, and these ones are not saved in the families directly. They are only applied once those are loaded into the project. So it doesn't show any changes. There's nothing to change, and that's why it doesn't reload those. So we can close this window and check one of the families. So let's go into the TV, where we have our new parameter, our yes parameter, and length remained L as it was previously named in the family, and height changed to height. Pretty easy. So that'll be the workflow with the smart browser. Now I want to go a little bit further, and with the Smart Browser BIM Manager version, there comes also BIM Tree Manager tool. And if the Smart Browser is dedicated to work with the families that are outside of the project and load changes into the project, then this tool is designed to work specifically inside the project. And what it can do, it can analyze every single element in your project. Would it be element that is visible in the model? Would it be just levels, views, schedules, whatever is seen in Revit as an element? So let's analyze furniture for our today's example. I'll click on BIM Tree Manager. When TV is selected, TV is of the furniture category. So I will see all the furniture in my model. Right now it's just TV. Let me expand this window and remove filtering by clicking right here. And here's the list of every single instance of furniture in our model. So here, what you can do is you can pre-save some specific sets of parameters that you want to see, how the elements were filtered. So for example, here I have pre-saved furniture on level 1. So all what I see is the furniture elements that are based on level 1. Or furniture sizes. And here I will have a list of all the furniture in the project with all their size parameters, if those would need to be changed, modified, and so on. Let's go to the comments configuration. And here we have some type parameters, some instance parameters, and families again. And here as well, you can export information into Excel and import it back. So to export, let's click this button. It'll be already BIM Tree Export. save, and I will go into that file to modify. BIM Tree Export. It will look very similar to what we've seen before. We can filter in comments or mark. For example, since this is all the furniture, I can say that this is F1, furniture 1, furniture 2, and so on, to create some marks. And here, from the height parameters, we can change one of the heights. And it's important to note in this place that once we change in value, it will be changed only in this cell, even though there are two instances of the same type of ottoman in this project. What our tool will do when you load these changes into the project, it will look at the last value of the type, and if we change here to 700, all the type will become 700, so this one will get 700 as well automatically. And let's write some comments as well. aga-cad, just to see how it works. Fill in this column, save the file, and go back to load it. To load it is this button. We select Excel, and all the information gets filled in an instance. So what we have, aga-cad, marks are filled, and you can also see that the width of the sofa ottoman was changed. One small thing to note about the Excels, as I've mentioned before, I think, some parameters cannot be changed, and currently in the Excel it's impossible to change material parameter or some formula-based parameter. Of course, you can write down your own formula by writing here equals and following with some value, but you cannot modify the currently present formula in the family. This will be added in the future. Let's go back into the model, and those are the changes. The new functionality of exporting and importing from the Excel, which can save days of work, especially if you're working with the family creation. Some changes that would require 2 days of work to enter and then checking also half a day can be done actually in half an hour with a way greater precision than it was ever possible before when you were entering values by hand. And that will be it from my today's presentation in project. And as I promised in the beginning of the webinar, I will shortly speak about different versions of the tool and announce some future changes for the tool as well. So here you can see all the versions of the Smart Browser that we have. It's a BIM Manager, Team Leader, Team Member, and Free version. And currently, how the Smart Browser works can be seen on the right part of this slide. Users can create their own personal libraries. That would be Smart Browser Free user, Team Leader, or BIM Manager can create personal libraries. For Smart Browser Free, basically that's it. You create your own library and you work with it. With the professional versions, library can be saved somewhere on a company server and other users can access it. So for example, BIM Manager can create library and Team Member can access it. So the BIM Manager is the most full version. For them, library can be created, elements can be modified, filled, and so on. For Team Leader, they can only create library but cannot modify elements inside the library. And for Team Member, these users can only load already created library that was created by 2 previous users. And our big introduction is that we'll be releasing possibility to create library directly in the cloud. And here you can see the scheme, how this will work. There will be a possibility to assign a lead user who will distribute further permissions. For example, whether the specific user with the Team Leader version can create libraries or this is forbidden. Whether some libraries are accessible to specific team member users or not. As well as if you're producing elements and you want other users around the world see your library, there will be a possibility to create a library XML in the cloud, and free users will be able to access it once you send them a link to that library, but they will not be able to do any modifications such as delete library, delete elements, or create their own library in that location. So this is a great news as I see it, because this will expand possibilities by a huge margin. and I'm really happy to announce that. And some takeaways from today's webinar: it's easy to access any elements from your library using Smart Browser. Batch editing can save days of work with element modification, and that's proven on practice. Modification files can be accessed at any time. So if you create a modification file and you want to fill some information additional later, you can always click on Modify Elements and fill in some new information. And when working with an Excel, currently non-modifiable parameters are logged in Excel as cells. And in the future, we plan to unlog those one by one and allow more and more modifications to be done through the Excel. So keep an eye on our blog posts to see what changes will apply in this spring. Most intriguing one is possibility to work in the cloud, but also we'll be releasing new updates for, as I mentioned, Excel and some other features. If you want to make your Revit family browsing and management better, feel free to download our Smart Browser tool. And of course, you can get in touch with us to schedule a live demonstration where we would discuss specifically your needs. Try the tool for free for 14 days and contact us to get a quote on the tools depending on your company needs, and that can be done at info@aga-cad.com. With all the questions regarding the tool itself, as I mentioned in the very beginning, you can email directly to me, alexandras@aga-cad.com, or you can email helpdesk@aga-cad.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you for attending today's webinar. I wish you a good end of the week and good luck working with Revit and Revit families. See you during the next webinar.
aga-cad, building BIM together.